All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to the Lake Club. Obviously, I'm not Bob Hannon, unfortunately. But fortunately for Bob, he's with his daughter in Columbus. They're the Poland ladies golf team there, and they're in Columbus competing in the state tournament. So as I was talking to Ed here, they had a practice round today in Columbus. The girls at Poland will compete Friday and Saturday for the Ohio State Championship. So we wish Bob and his daughter the best of luck this weekend. So he'll be back next week with you. So you have the misfortune of having me up here with the two gentlemen here today. My name's Robb Schmidt, for those of you who don't know. Obviously, the coach and Ed are up here as well, as they are each week. So, again, we're happy to have you here, and I'm going to let them pretty much just do what they do up here, and if I need to jump in, I will. But, Coach, obviously, coming off of Saturday's game against South Dakota State, a tough task now to turn around and go to Carbondale and meet up against the Southern Illinois team, who, much like you, has their backs to the wall.
Well, the thing about Southern Illinois is I think they've drastically improved from last year. They are very similar to us in a lot of ways, that they have the same conference record, being 1-2, and there was a lot of high expectations on them as far as being ranked third in the conference, being a two-time champion a couple years ago, and they had a lot of upperclassmen back, and the thing I see with them is they've improved tremendously defensively, and their defensive line is a lot more active than they were last year. They're running around a lot better. I saw them make a bunch of plays against Ole Miss there, which is an SEC team early in the year. The score wasn't really vindicative of the game. And then, last week against North Dakota State, a pretty good team. We all know they beat Minnesota. I saw them just stymie them really up front. They would not let them run the ball. North Dakota State didn't have a first down there till late in the third quarter, and the running back there only had 31 yards. They had 60 total on the day. So I think they've improved tremendously a bunch on defense, and then I see an offense there that their quarterback got knocked out in the Western Illinois game. He kind of rallied them back for about 21 points, but I think that Coach Lennon's very disappointed in the red zone. Their red zone offense, that's an area that they've been struggling a little bit in, and I think really this is a matchup of two teams that are in similar situations, meaning, we feel like our back's against the wall. We kind of feel like we've given two games away, and it's very difficult to concede that 4 or 5 plays, one play really, but 4 or 5 plays in a game are determining the outcomes of our final score. And Southern Illinois probably feels the same way, because they're in a 9-3 ball game there with North Dakota State, and realistically they probably had 3 opportunities to win that game, and they were unable to do it because of their red zone offense. So it'll be a great game.
Now, this is a team, as you had mentioned, lost its quarterback. Paul McIntosh suffered a dislocated shoulder in the game at Western. Probably going to be out for another 3 weeks for that offense. And since then, Corey Faulkner has stepped in. Is this a team that likes to run with its quarterback? Before McIntosh went out, he was their third leading ball carrier.
Yeah, they were trying to run some of the stuff you see at Oregon, where they run the quarterback power. Some of the stuff that Rodriguez did there at Michigan. So they were running some of that type of stuff, and then he got hurt. So right now they'll resort to those type of plays in the red zone when they feel the pressure that they need to make a play. But right now, primarily, since the quarterback changed, they've been giving the ball to Joel Hampton, who's a transfer from University of Iowa. He's very similar to Bellamy as far as his stature, big, strong kid, well-developed in the lower body, and they're running a lot of zone plays, meaning inside zone, off tackle, and a little bit of power there.
Offensively, as far as their wideouts, Cam Fuller, their big play threat as a wide receiver. What problems will he pose, and is he truly that deep threat because of his speed?
Well, the thing we've been working on, obviously, after last week, you guys saw it, was our ability to defend the slant play. And slant play is not really that much, not very difficult to cover. It's just you got to have the right leverage and have the right hand placement and attack people, and then you got to mix up some coverages. You can't be in the same thing all the time, and that's something we've talked about quite a bit. And we're not going to use youth as a reason why we can't continue to run different coverages. And we're 5 games into this thing, and we need to be able to run some special. We need to be able to run some Brown. We need to be able to run some cover 3. We need to be able to run some 2 Tampa, all based on down and distance. And that's something that we've got to develop, and we've been working on it all week. And we're going to mix some things up some more on Saturday, and hopefully hope to see some dividends from us changing things up.
Do you think with the way Hampton has played, I mean, Hampton played in 14 or 15 games with Iowa. He just wasn't at Iowa. He physically played at Iowa. There were some issues there. He came in. He started the last 2 or 3 weeks. Do you think with them watching the film that offensively that they're going to try to do kind of what Indiana State did early and trying to go after the run a little bit?
I think you're exactly right, Ed. I think they're going to try to keep their quarterback in situations where it's 3rd and medium, and that would mean run the ball on 1st and 2nd down. Occasionally, once they cross midfield, run some play-action pass and take some shots to the receiver there. But I think they're going to try to protect their quarterback a little bit. I think they know they have a good defense, and they're going to play to that. We're looking at ourselves trying to get to a point where we can keep the pressure on them, that they have to try to throw the ball a little bit, and they can't be so one-dimensional. But I think right now the challenge will be for us is they're going to try to run off tackle on a consistent basis there, try to create some confusion with moving some guys around, and then when they get in 3rd and 5, they're going to try to run some slants, get near the red zone, run some fades, and then run some of the concepts of what you call a dig route and some spacing concepts there.
You've had the opportunity to get on top of teams. Last week against South Dakota State, you drove down the field and jumped up 7-0, took the 28-21 lead in the second half. And as Christian Bryant said earlier in the week, Coach, sometimes when you get that lead, do you see the guys take that deep breath and maybe too deep a breath and a little bit of relaxation there?
Well, that's something we talked about on Monday. We establish momentum in all these games, and we just give it right back to them. And I've never been around a team that consistently does that. Talked to Coach Snyder today. He coached me in college. Obviously, he has Kansas State off to a good start, and he just told me to encourage me to keep working hard, keep doing things right, and then you're gonna find a way to get it done. And I told him, I said, Coach, we just keep on losing momentum. I mean, we can take the opening drive, go down the field, score. Everybody's all excited. Next thing you know, we kick the ball out of bounds. I've never seen anything like it, and you just keep working hard, and good things are going to happen.
When you look at video of Southern Illinois, it's a team that so far this year, at least statistically, has gotten off to slow starts. Outscored by 27 points in the first quarter, and then they seem to build momentum. Is this a team, when you look at them on video, that you can get out early, and especially on the road, being important?
Well, we need to on the road. We've primarily been a fast start team, except for the Indiana State game there. And then last year against Illinois State, I thought we came out offensively a little bit stagnant. But we have been somewhat of a fast start team. We changed some of our routine up on Friday night as far as some things we're going to do there. And then because of the travel issues that we have being in this conference, we're going to do some different things as far as trying to create some little bit more blood flow, red blood cells and some oxygen and those kind of things we're trying to do there at the hotel with some practices and some stretching and those kind of things because, like Indiana State, we're on a bus for 9 hours. We're only supposed to be on a bus for 6.5, but it's something that you have to deal with, whereas a lot of the places I've been probably the last 15 years of my coaching career, or actually probably the last 11, I should say, is, your primarily longest trip's 3 hours. Whether you're flying or busing, whatever the case may be. And that's something that we have to massage here because most of our trips are a minimum 6 to 7 hours.
Offensively, I think it's been pretty similar in first half, second half. I think in some games we get off to great starts, in some games we don't. In some games we catch fire in the second quarter. It's been very inconsistent offensively. And I think for the first time, maybe Saturday, the offense had a chance to grab the momentum and didn't happen. But defensively, it's been pretty consistent the last couple, 3 weeks that it's been a different defensive team in the second half. And I want to know sometimes kind of what's in the water what's happening. But, you take a look at it, and there's a hell of a lot more points being given up in the first half defensively. You have a running back at Indiana State goes for 233 in the first half and 20 in the second half. Even last week. What's happening at halftime, and is there a way, of pretending that we're playing the first half Friday night or something that we could get the defense rolling a little bit earlier?
I can't really repeat what happens at halftime, but I can tell you that it's not good. It's just I don't have a reason other than the fact that there's no excuse. But I think some of these guys get a little gun shy. Come out early and get in the flow of the game. I don't know what it is. I don't think the confidence. We don't have the confidence on defense like we do on offense to come out and start fast. And you've been playing 5 games. It's not hard, and that's why changing some things up early maybe will give us some confidence and get off to a faster start. We're hoping that's going to be the case in point. But we got to get off to a little faster start there on defense and quit playing on our heels so much.
You think when you're dealing with the amount of youth, and not that they're all 18 years old, but in how many games they've played, that the fact that 30 points per game is kind of the given for YSU, how much of that goes into the expectations? Because, I was 49ers, Michigan, you'd watch those teams in the 80s and 90s, and you knew when Joe Montana would get the ball, it really didn't matter. They were going to find a way to win. And then there are some teams that the Bengals during that certain period of time that no matter if they were up by 20, you never felt that it was comfortable. And knowing how much football is a mental game, how much of that do you think is our defense's mindset?
Well, I told the staff, we visited on Tuesday in the morning, and I said, we got to realize that we can't continue to expect the offense to score 42 points, 35 points a game. There's going to be teams that somewhat have some success, stop us, whatever the case may be, and we acknowledge that. And I think, I don't know that we necessarily take for granted that our offense is going to score 35 or 42 points. I want to get off to more of an aggressive start on defense as far as, hey, let's change some things up early, give these guys some different looks early in the game, gamble a little bit more, because I think that'll pay dividends later on in the game, because we're, the first basically 15 and 20 plays of every game, there's an evaluation going on between both teams. Like offensively, we're evaluating. We're trying to line up all of our personnel groups, and by formation of plays we like, we're evaluating how they line up and what they do. What's their answer? What's their adjustment going to be this week when we line up in 11 personnel, 3-by-1? Are they going to play the same as we expected them and studied on film, or are they going to change? When we get into a red zone, are they going to line up exactly the same, or are they going to change? And that's part of the cat and mouse game. I feel like early on that we need to do some more things instead of sitting back a little bit, trying to create some confusion. We're like, well, the first time we came out in 11 personnel and ran Ricky, they ran Mountaineer blitz. Well, they hadn't showed that all year. So now that we got them thinking. So they might have built their game plan around Ricky formation, 11 personnel. They might have drawn up and have a game plan for 15 plays. Now all of a sudden we give them something different. They're like, well, maybe that's not a good play right now. So maybe we've cut down 15 plays.
We have been, I think, more basic.
Yes.
Coming out offensively and defensively in that first quarter.
We've been trying to be basic on defense because of the fact of our youth. And I'm like, hey, listen, we're 5 games in this. They're going to learn it or they're not. Let's quit being so basic and giving them something that's predictable early. Let's show them something different, get them scrambling. And then if we want to come back and play some of the basic concepts, that's fine. But let's give them something early to create some confusion.
Is Southern a team, at least so far they have been, that you can create turnovers, which I know has been something you've been forcing and wanting more of? They've thrown 8 picks. The kid that's now there, Faulkner's thrown 4 in the last 2 games.
Well, I think the thing is you got to get a little bit of pressure on them. And we've been doing a better job of getting some pressure here lately. And I think we're going to bring more guys. We're not going to just leave it up to a 4-man rush. Certain times that we're going to do certain things. Tevin Williams, our linebacker, freshman linebacker, he's as good as any linebacker I've seen blitz in a lot of places I've been. He has a great knack for bending his knees, dipping his shoulder, and getting through a blocker and making a play. I mean, last week he had 10 solos, and he's just scratching the surface.
And that's what you had told me earlier in the week. The kid had 10 solos as a freshman. Is he now earned your trust to know that you can kind of let him loose?
Well, I told our coaches to turn him loose. I'm like, listen, we can plan on bringing other guys. I mean, number 11, Davion Rogers, turn him loose. You know what I mean? Let him go. Go get him. Yeah. And he'll find a way to make a play.
Yeah, because I think whether you're offensively creating confusion with the way you're lining up, the way you're going in motion, or your cadence, or defensively showing other things, I think that's the one thing that I see with my eyes that's lacking, that it's a little bit too easy to figure out. And I think you have the athletes to do it. You're 5 weeks in. Mm-hmm. These guys, they're freshmen. They're, a year away from playing Cardinal Mooney versus Warren Harding. Mm-hmm. And, just because somebody transferred from Michigan, he never played at Michigan.
Yeah.
He's a great athlete. 5 weeks in, I would rather see us go after it and make a mistake aggressively as opposed to just playing basic and having somebody come after us and know what we're doing.
And I think that's been the big thing, Coach, as we talk about turnovers will be key on Saturday because it'll help your offense get a short field. They don't have to drive 80 yards every time they step back on the field.
Well, I mean, one thing I see with these guys, though, is they're going to play field position. They know that they have a good defense. So, they're not going to go for it on fourth down maybe like we will. But I can tell you that we feel pretty good about our special team matchup. That's in the part of the game that we don't ever talk about very much. But, this is a team last year. We got a blocked punt. We also created a turnover on kickoff last year. Those two things were potentially the difference in the game. And we've been playing somewhat better on special teams in a lot of areas. There's some things I'd like to see us do better. But we're making some progress, and we have better athletes on those teams, and that's showing up, especially on our coverage teams.
And again, that's Saturday afternoon. That's a 3 o'clock start. Now, does it change at all because you're losing the hour? You're playing at 2 o'clock their time. You've been used to playing at 4 on home games. Is it at all a change for you? Because the Indiana State game was an earlier kick.
Those guys get to sleep. Their time clock, their wake up calls is at 9 o'clock. So that's 10 o'clock their time. So, these kids today like to sleep.
Kids, older guys, I think most people.
Well, sleeping
except
until 10. There's not many people that sleep until 10.
No, you're sure. That's my daughter would be one of the only ones left. Right.
All the teenagers in the room.
When you take a look at Southern Illinois, this is a football team that, as I was told earlier in the week, is not playing for revenge, even though I don't necessarily buy that. I mean, they came to your place last year, right out of the gate, conference opener, and lost, which was a huge setback for them and really kind of knocked them back on their heels. Obviously, they've circled the game. They know what you did to them here a year ago. And it's been a while since you guys have put them on their heels over the last few years. Do you look at that knowing that they may use last year as a little extra motivation?
Well, I think they're going to use it as revenge, but we got a lot of upset football players about what's happened in the last 2 games. It's not okay. We're not accepting it. We're not happy about it. These kids have worked hard, and we're not happy about the way things are right now either. It's not okay, and we continue to talk about those things. And we just said, hey, it's not like we can't win these games. All the factors you want to take into account, we can win all these football games. It's just a matter of on these 4 or 5 plays, if you're asked to play a certain technique defensively or offensively, whatever the case may be, you need to line up with the proper leverage and do what you're supposed to do. And it's as simple as if you have inside leverage, then you need to play inside leverage and make the guy throw the ball long to the field. If you're into the boundary and you have inside leverage or outside leverage, if you have outside, then you have help from the safety. It's all based on the call. Just do your job. If we throw the ball to you, catch the football. Don't bat it in the air like a volleyball and let someone else and pick it off, And, if we pull you on a sweep play and you're running out there in the wide open and we tell you to cut the guy and you decide not to cut the guy and you get a holding call, those are the little things that right now are holding us back, and it's really about 3-4 plays a game.
You saw, and you just mentioned about when they throw you the ball. Last year, Kurt had a good game against Southern Illinois. I think he went 4 touchdowns, no picks, high percentage of completions. What did they do a year ago that you can duplicate now? Has their defensive scheme at all changed, or do you expect it to be different when you face them on Saturday?
The thing that they changed defensively was last year they did a lot more angling and slanting on the edges, meaning on a tackle tight end spot. They were always every play that you play these guys, they line up with +1 in the box. Well, what does that mean? That means that I have 6 blockers, they have 7 defensive players. Every play. So what that does is that eliminates a lot of your basic run plays because you obviously need 7 guys to block 7 unless you're running some type of option or misdirection or zone read or scheme. So that's the challenge that they present. Now, last year, we were able to catch them in some of these slants and movements that they were predictable in, and we were able to cut them off. Had great running back effort, ran hard, low pads, ran for a lot of yards after contact. I think we had 56 carries for 200 plus. This year, what I see is they're playing a lot more straightforward, meaning they have a lot more confidence in their nose guard and defensive linemen that they can just line up and knock you back as opposed to have to always slant and slicing. They still move quite a bit, but it's not as drastic as it was last year as far as trying to run a bunch of twist schemes. They will line up, though. I mean, they did it against North Dakota State. Is they lined up pretty somewhat basic and just slanted a couple guys and had success. Now, that's an early indication of where North Dakota State is in our conference, really, and then where Southern Illinois is. But I expect us to come out and we're gonna run the football. I mean, we're gonna make a serious attempt to run the football. We're going to run for 200 yards. I can't make that kind of prediction, but we're going to run the football because it's going to set up a lot of big plays that I think are out there for us, and there's some big plays that are to be had out there with what they're doing coverage-wise.
And I think we're a better offensive team, Rob and Coach, when we run the ball. I mean, when you could run the ball consistently, A, you can hold on to a lead, and B, it makes every quarterback better. I mean, I keep giving people, you have a chance to watch the pros on TV. You see Garcia for the Jets. He's the same quarterback as he was last year. Last year they had a running game. This year they don't. Looks like a totally different person. And I truly believe for our offense to hit on all cylinders, we have to, and we have the personnel. Do you agree with me? Yep. To control the line of scrimmage and to get 3 or 4 yards. And I think we got away from that a little bit. I think some of the teams we've played have tried to take that away from us, and I expect that Saturday. I expect Southern Illinois. They have great comfort. 2 of the 3 guys up front have a lot of starts. They're giving them a lot of comfort. I mean, a North Dakota State team that's ranked 4th or 5th in the country
4th.
was 0 for 9 in their first 9 third down situations. 9 in a row. Southern Illinois stopped them. I mean, they've
same team that whipped Minnesota, Big Ten team, at their place. So they're pretty. I mean, they're stout, but I'm sure we'll have a scheme that we can see if we can run the ball.
But I see it. I mean, on paper and talking to their color guys and the radio, how they see it is offensively because of the history we have. They feel that offensively that we have a damn good offense and that we're probably better than them offensively for what we do. Defensively, I think you have to give them the notch 3 games into our season. And he never talked about the special team. So the real question Saturday is, can the offense get a little bit more on track, do more of the things, not that they have to score 40, but you just like them to be a little bit more consistent. I feel I'd like to see our defense obviously get more consistent. But the special team play could be the difference in this game because it's 2 teams at a crossroad. I mean, from their standpoint, they had a couple tough losses, and the last loss was a comforting one because they should have beat North Dakota State.
Yes.
I mean, they outplayed them. I mean, if you take a look statistically, they had many, many chances, and their guy on the radio said they were sick, that, you have 260 yards to 30 in the first half, and you're only up 3-0. That's what kind of game they played against North Dakota State. So
yeah, and they felt their defense really kind of maybe even overplayed Saturday against North Dakota State. I mean, really played it at its highest level that it had played all season long. So, you don't know if you're going to get that same kind of effort out of Southern Illinois' defense. And Coach, you mentioned third down. You guys lead the conference in third down conversion percentage at nearly 50%. I mean, you've converted 48% of your third down chances. Is that because you've put yourself in manageable, as you say, manageable third down situations?
Well, we didn't on Saturday. We were 3 of 12 on Saturday against South Dakota, which is unheard of for us, and it's not acceptable. We felt like that we got in too many third and long situations, and then they changed up some things as far as coverage. They ran a two-man concept, which basically says even though it's third and long, you should run the football. And teams are doing that a lot more nowadays because they know on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 that an offense is not going to run the football. They're running two-man. They're dropping 8 players. So you need to run the football. So we're not going to let that happen again.
Again, Saturday afternoon, and Ed has his hands full, too. He's going to be working with Zach Humphreys, who Ed gets a chance to tutelage a little bit there. And Zach's done a lot of the sideline work, so if you're listening to the game on 570 Saturday, obviously Bob with his daughter, so it'll be Zach and Ed down in Carbondale. And I know Zach
I already
did a good
told
job.
Bob, and we're going to be successful, that it might be the end of the Bob and Ed show if it's
Don't
Zach's.
do that. Don't say it.
No, Zach. Not that Bob's totally gone, but Zach's going to be with us the rest of the year.
Might
upstairs.
be hired on full time. Good luck.
We'll have 3 headsets.
Because the email that Bob sent when he was like apprehensive about not being able to make it this weekend was like, I still love doing it. I love working with Ed. I'm committed to the program. And I'm like, Bob, we know we're not replacing you with Zach. So
no, from his
Zach's
standpoint,
excited.
it's a time of his life.
Yeah.
And he wasn't going to go. And I said, if you have a chance to watch your daughter win the state championship, Youngstown State will be just fine. I mean, he loves the program. He's sick about not being there, and I know his heart's going to be with us and be texting every 5 minutes to see what's going on.
Coach, also the game for most people that aren't making the trip, and I know some people here are making the trip with us to Carbondale. If you have an opportunity, the game will be televised as well. We're putting it live on WBCB. They televise the game against Indiana State. They'll also have the games at Northern Iowa and North Dakota State. So I know it's important to make sure that the kids get the proper coverage, whether it's television, radio, or internet. So it gives you guys a chance to not only listen to Ed and Zach do the radio call, but you get a chance to watch it as well on WBCB. So that's important. And we're thankful for Jack Gerdick at WBCB for giving us the chance to televise that game on Saturday.
Obviously, you had 563 people talk to you since last Saturday. You've called your coach. You've thought about all of these things. What's the one message? And in a week that you only have a couple days to work, what's the one message you're driving home to your team this week to make that difference and get over the hump?
I've told them that, it's as simple as this, guys. There's 4 or 5 plays in these games that we're not doing what we need to do, and it's not okay. I think a lot of times we are dealing with, I should say, young people that think it's okay to make an excuse for saying, well, I didn't get the call. I thought he was running a slant, and that's immaturity. That's not accepting responsibility. That's not accepting accountability. If guys were running free and we didn't have a guy nowhere near, that's coaching. But you have a responsibility to do what's asked of you. And if we do those things and play as a team, that we can beat anyone. I mean, we can be as good as we want to be. And at some point, we've got to put an end to it. Being close is not good enough. We're good enough, youth or not, to win these football games. And, yes, it bodes well for the future, but I'm not worried about the future. I want to win now. They want to win now, and this might be the right trip to go do it because it's got to stop. And I've told them that. We've talked about it all week. Their attitude's great. I mean, there's no bickering, no talking back, no baloney going on. And I think it's just a matter of time before we do it.